Welcome to another episode of Zebra Spotlight. We are joined this evening by none other than Pedro Eustache, who is a world-class flute and winds player, as well as a wind synthesist and electronic soloist. He's the first call world wind soloist in Los Angeles and international recording studio scene with over 150 film and video game soundtracks, such as Dune, Pirates of the Caribbean, Kung Fu Panda, Ice Ages, Syriana, Encanto, and Coco, amongst many others. Having worked with many global artists, including Paul McCartney and John Williams, he's often featured touring the world with Hans Zimmer Live, Game of Thrones live concert experience, and the world of Hans Zimmer since 2017. Pedro is also a composer, lecturer, educator, researcher, and instrument maker with extensive academic studies and over 45 years of professional experience. Pedro, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
My pleasure, Atif. You did your homework. That's a big introduction. It felt you were talking about somebody else.
Let's just say that was a very, very shortened version of the introduction. I mean,
God bless you, dear.
your
God bless you.
accolades. When I read more about you, your accolades just astound me. And we'll touch more of that as we go on.
Mhm.
Now, I'm very grateful because I know you're incredibly busy at the moment.
By
So,
God's
so
grace, it is the truth. Yes.
and so, what sort of things are you involved with at the moment? I mean, I
Now this
enjoyed
is
you. Yeah.
this is so fantastic, Atif, and this is one of the greatest challenges of our time. Please don't laugh, and I hope your listeners and your people watching this do not laugh at me. But isn't it amazing that in our times where we can communicate so much and we use platforms, there are things that because of the nature of our activity and the industries we are a part of, we cannot speak about. I have one, two, three, at least four different projects I cannot
Wow.
talk about. And Atif, believe it or not, joking, I told to one of my friends, one of the chiefs of these things, I said, "You got away with the impossible. You made the impossible possible." And he said, "What? What? You make me not be able to talk about something." I had to sign very heavy NDAs.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
hopefully, at least two of those before the year ends. Those are movies, and they're huge. And all that's all I can say.
Wow.
Uh, please don't ask me more because I can get in trouble. And then a another one. I had to sign another NDA yesterday. A TV series I cannot speak about. So to make a long story short, I would resume saying that uh, I am working in many different projects while I'm preparing recording wise. I can speak about this Blizzard Entertainment. I did several recordings for the new levels that come for World of Warcraft and many other things they do. Um, there are two things I didn't mention that this is first for you because I haven't published anything. I need to do it. This I can speak about. So thank you for this opportunity. One is Prey. I played in Prey, Prey. I was one of the wind soloists. There were two of us, so I was the main one there. Then there is 3,000 Years of Longing that came 2 or 3 days ago. Uh, I play the whirlwinds there as well. So I haven't published yet anything in social media, and I have to because I'm preparing like crazy. Atif, tomorrow I have to send my case with my instruments will be sent to Frankfurt, then to Basel to do our the World of Hans Zimmer tours that we're gonna do in September, October. So I'm running like crazy, also preparing for Synthplex 2022, which is a huge fair dedicated to electronic music synthesizers and related items here in Los Angeles. And I am the first, I think, soloist on October 29th. And I'll be premiering. The whole concert is a premiere. Nobody's heard what I'm going to do there. I've
Wow.
prepared a full thing because I'm working in two projects, electronica wise, which is I can speak about, which is
Mhm.
wonderful. One is a collaboration with a great fantastic friend, young DJ from Mexico. His name is Andy Waldman. and it's big, big. There's a big thing coming in September in England that will be premiered that I cannot speak about yet, but is with one huge electronica record label that they will be celebrating their 100th track, and it's a collaboration of Andy and uh, myself, and working with Andy for several years now. We have been doing this project that will come soon, we hope. So we're gonna do three of those things at Synthplex, and he will be in a video pre-recorded in Mexico, and I'll be playing with him live in Burbank,
Wow.
California. And then I'm gonna lecture on that as well the day after, which is on Sunday, the 30th of October. And we're preparing as well for obviously Hans Zimmer Live, uh, next huge, almost 3 months tour in spring 2023. But I'm again back with Blizzard Entertainment recording things in October. There's a huge thing for Netflix also coming that I don't even know if I can speak about, and that's why I don't mention it because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, several things like that that I've been dealing with. I don't know if you have anything in mind specific you'd like to ask me, but I don't know if this helps as an answer, more or less. Plus, me making new instruments, plus um, designing and using modifications in electronic music modules that I've been working with a genius doctor from Innsbruck, Austria. His name is Dr. Matthias, but he has something called MAFEZ, MAFFEZ modifications, and he does things. I put in my Erica Sense analog modular things and like that special things, and he modified my Behringer 2600 that I use with Hans on tour and like that. And I'm playing the Lyricons, which are the analog wind controllers par excellence, and my modified Silphio, my MIDI controller, that has a prototype of a mouthpiece. Check this out, Latif. This is a premiere as well. That has sensors that literally senses the movement of my tongue inside my mouth, and I can affect the sounds out of that,
Wow.
which is what we do with acoustic instruments.
Mhm.
So incredibly powerful. I hope I answered your question.
You have. I mean, just goes to show that you are, in fact, incredibly busy, and I feel even more privileged that I've stolen just a fraction of your time this evening.
No, thank you. And apologies for taking so long. Poor thing, you've been after me for a long time. And I've been dodging you since, not dodging you, but not being able to do this since before May. So thank you for your patience, Atif.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
it's the least I could do. I mean, going back to how I connected with you, so I was fortunate enough to have enjoyed Hans Zimmer Live in Manchester last year.
Ah, that
Um,
was wonderful.
the show was spectacular. The audio-visual
Really
effects were just
was.
wonderful.
Well, and
Um,
Manchester is so special because
yeah.
we have Nile Mars that is from there. He's the homeboy. So we all were like, oh my gosh. Keep on going. I'm interrupted you. Please, please.
And the concert was fabulous, and it's the first time I've experienced Hans Zimmer live. But for me personally, when I saw you perform, this is doesn't take away from any of the other world class artists, but for me, you stole the show.
Oh,
Um,
Atif, don't
and
say that, my dear. Please. God bless you.
for
God
me, you
bless you.
did, and I was just I was mesmerized, and I thought, wow. And I thought I've got to get hold of you, and I just reached out to you, and you very kindly accepted this invitation to talk about your work
Well,
and success.
I'm very humbled, and I receive your wonderful expression. Let me real quick give you a little perspective of how I see myself, Atif. It's not that I don't know how to receive a compliment. It's exactly the opposite. It's put in perspective and how I see myself. Thank you. That means you're extremely perceptive. I don't know if I agree with you that I stole the show. I believe whatever I did,
For me,
God bless you. God bless you. I reflect, or I try really hard to reflect what I receive from the Creator. I'm a follower of Christ, follower of
yes.
Jesus, not necessarily identifiable with the terrible uh, political connotations that that will ring in many people's ears, and it's for me a very sad thing that I have to all the time clarify this because the Jesus I serve has nothing to do with the politics his name is associated now a lot, which is very sad, and very embarrassing to me, to tell you the truth. But that Jesus who saved my life from a very dark place when we lost our daughter to brain cancer 34 years ago,
Wow,
and we
sorry
were
to
on the
hear that.
brink of committing suicide. He showed up and saved us, my wife Sarah and I, from that, from committing something against our lives. And for 34 years, he kept inspiring me and sustaining me, and inspiring me and encouraging me and affirming me on the wonderful calling I have been entrusted with, and that's music. And my whole life, I wanted to do, since I was a teenager. I'm a great admirer of the greatest musician that ever existed, the great Johann Sebastian Bach,
Mm,
who also was a follower of Christ, coincidentally. And he said that music existed to glorify God and to sublimate, to elevate the human soul. And since I was 17, I said, that's what my life I
wow,
wanted to be. And by God's amazing grace, Atif, what you felt and you experienced in our concert is the consequence of something very strong I say when many people compliment me. I say two things. The first one I learned from the great Stevie Wonder. He said, it's God's gift whenever people compliment him. And that's true. And number two, I said, and also an awful lot hard work in my part. I break my back and I burn my eyelashes at if working like crazy to make sure I get out of the way and I am the least possible obstacle so that God can do his wonderful work.
wow. Very humbling words. It's interesting you say that. I'm spiritual myself. I'm a practicing Muslim, and one of the very interesting things that when I read on your website, and certainly from what you're saying, um, when you play the music, there's something deeply spiritual about the way that you play and the way that this emanates from within. And I wholeheartedly understand and feel exactly what you're saying. And
That
when
means you're very perceptive, Atif. You have a wonderful heart. You're very perceptive. Keep going, please. I interrupted you. Please.
no, it's just you can tell that you play, from somewhere deep in your soul. And I think any sort of music, any sort of musician that's playing deep from their soul, from whatever they've been through, whatever calamity they've been through, when it comes from that place and it's glorifying something bigger than them, it's evident in the music that's produced. And I think that's what we feel globally.
God bless you. When you saw me playing The Lion King at the end, I'm playing beautiful Irish penny whistle and many notes I can play with my left hand. And you saw me with my
Wow.
right hand
Yes.
and touching my heart and offering that up. I'm literally giving honor to the creator of the
Wow.
universe because I think I'm just so happy to be alive
Wow.
after I almost again attempted against it out of pain. And it's such a miracle. Every breath I take, every note I play like there's not going to be tomorrow as an expression of gratitude to Him, not as a religious thing, as a life experiencing changed thing. There.
Wow. I didn't expect that, but wow. Whew.
God bless you, dear.
God bless you too.
Thank you. I received the blessing.
It's again, for anyone who's spiritual, they'll understand this. But if you don't believe in a higher being, go to the concert and you'll see proof of miracles at play, because what you hear, what you experience, that this is
Well, Hans's music is a miracle. I tell him, we're not of the same belief system persuasion at all. Yet I tell him, Hans, your music makes me glorify God. I cannot help it. It is so powerful. When I hear Guthrie Govan playing, he takes me to another place.
wow.
He's touched by the Almighty. When I hear Juan Garcia Herreros play his bass and do the grooves he does and what he does, the genius of these guys shows up so strongly, so inescapably.
Hmm. Hmm.
I cannot not be affected by them, and that's why I celebrate them. You see me in concert, I'm like
Yeah, you're
and I
like having a
applaud them,
party on
and
stage.
because I celebrate
Yeah.
their amazing. Atif, they're geniuses. This guy,
Mhm.
they are. Hans is a super genius. It's like it's amazing that I have been given, granted, the unbelievable gift
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
having worked with geniuses like the Sir Paul McCartney or Sir John Williams or so many others. You know, John Debney, John Powell, James Newton Howard, James Newton, the composer flautist, my mentor, Ravi Shankar, the
Mhm.
great
Mhm.
Pandit, you know, Ravi G. Shankar. It's like so many people like that. Eric Persson, so many incredible super geniuses. It's like I am so overwhelmed. Dr. Jose Antonio Abreu, the founder of El Sistema in Venezuela, what I'm a product of. Anyhow, I'm talking too much. Please
Wow,
keep on
wow,
going. Sorry.
incredible. The and moving away from the creativity of music, but you know, I understand you've worked with some of the biggest minds, acousticians from the scientific background. So much so that you've actually developed over 100 of your own completely unique instruments that you
Yeah,
can't
many of
get
them,
anywhere in the
many of
world.
correct. And to clarify that real quick, this is very interesting. There is a fantastic master flute maker who just got retired, David Strubinger, who helped me make the last head joint. I have my special unique head joint I made for my flute, which has this gyrating inside wedge that changes the tone of the flute. So I can have a very bright tone, a wonderful full tone, and a very wood-like tone, and it's very powerful. He helped me make it in metal. I consulted out of necessity, and why I mentioned David Strubinger is because I told him that my obsession is because I'm very stubborn. He said, "No, don't say stubborn. Say determined. Determined, because stubborn is an ass. Can be stubborn. You are determined." He said, "So is Atif when I need to do something. I don't know if it's a family thing or what kind of obsession that is, or some little spectrum stuff runs in my family. You know, I have a family been diagnosed with Asperger, so I
Mhm.
think I have some of that as well. I think it's kind of obvious, but it's like when I need to do something, I will not stop until I have a solution, even if it means, my dear Atif, to be 2.5 years emailing Dr. Peter Hukia, a PhD in acoustics, until he responds me,
Wow.
and he did.
That's persistent.
So that we did research, and before that, while I was touring with Yanni, was a miracle that got sent to my life. This is incredibly powerful story, Atif. Let me tell you the story real quick
Mhm.
about Yanni. Let me finish then with the acoustics thing, and then I'll go into the Yanni thing. The acoustics is, while I was touring with Yanni, I had an idea of a modification to bring very long separated distance holes, to bring them together so I could ergonomically play them. Because acoustically, the holes has to be in different, but then we have the reality of ergonomics so that we can actuate and close the holes. And
Mhm.
I did, miter cutting things, and that completely destroyed the acoustics of the tube. So I brought this with Dr. John Coltman, who at the time was the greatest authority in flute acoustics in the United States. I don't know if the world. And I did research with him, and he said, I know exactly how to compensate for those things. He did his math and his acoustics and his physics, and he gave me the answer. And based on that, I have made many instruments that I use in many
Wow.
of my
Wow.
concerts. And I have instruments that nobody else in the world has. In fact, his publication in the Acoustic Journal was the last publication he did in acoustics before his passing. He was 92 when he passed.
Wow.
The
Incredible.
last research in
Incredible.
acoustic he did with me. So I'm so honored. And after
What
that,
an accolade.
Dr. Peter Hukia, who's a PhD physics teacher at the university in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio area. and like that. But I was gonna say real quick about the Yanni experience, which is incredible. Many of these things are in the internet, but it's my pleasure to
Yeah,
share with you, Atif, if you allow me. And
please.
why I want to share this, thank you, dear, is not only I want to acknowledge the Creator and give Him glory, but also this might encourage somebody who's very discouraged now. I'm not giving excuses for people to take the story I'm going to share now as something for them to manipulate, to try to strive for something they want. I want to inspire them to look for them to get what the creator of the universe has planned for this stage of their lives. 95, January 95, my New Year's resolution, as we do in America or the United States, is I went to my wife, and after struggling 7 years, really struggling financially, was terrible. I went to my wife and I told her, Mommy, I don't care what they're going to say in Venezuela. I don't care. I have a master's degree in jazz and world music studies from the great California Institute of the Arts. I don't care if after having all my 7 years of symphony orchestra and graduated with diplomas of high level from Europe with the greatest flute masters of the world and having studied with all these great masters from many music cultures of the world, I don't care what they're going to say, but I'm going to give up music and I'm going to go sell cars. I cannot deal with this anymore. Atif, we were
Wow.
living in a mobile home without air conditioning in the almost high desert area of Los Angeles County, which is extremely hot.
Hmm.
My wife's gut immediate, not thought reaction was, I don't know what you're going to have to do if you're going to have to spend more times in your knees praying to God. But God made you a musician. I already sacrificed my part, and you're going to make it or you're going to make it. I'm not
Wow.
going to let you go sell cars. Nothing wrong with that, but God did not create you. You're good for music. I already gave up my part, and you're gonna make it or you're gonna make it. And I went like, okay, mommy. And
They-
Atif, what was my surprise? That exactly the same week my father went up to heaven with Jesus,
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I received a phone call from Yanni's percussionist, who happened to be on tour with Yanni in Hong Kong, as I said, calling me saying, telling me, Pedro, Yanni needs a new flute player. Would you like to be part of this?
Wow.
Atif, that changed. Yanni recognized in less than 30 seconds that I played in my audition with him the things God has given me that other people at his level in the industry in LA had not seen for more than 7 years that I was around. That tells you the level of perception this genius has. He didn't let me finish the piece I was playing. He stopped me. You're the guy I'm looking for. You're the band, and that's it.
Wow.
That changed our lives.
Incredible. I mean, for listeners, particularly as you mentioned before, people going through any sort of difficulty or hopelessness, and particularly for young people thinking about the future and the mess that we've created in the world, it's words of hope and inspiration like that. I think are just
It's
vital.
important, Natif.
Yeah.
It's important. I'll tell you why. I am sick and tired to hear many people tell me, Pedro, you have such a wonderful life and you do what you love. And and I'm going like, you should too. The same God that allowed that in my life created you with a beautiful purpose. And the good book says that before the foundation of the world, God designed a plan for Atif and whoever else is watching this. So we need to seek and find
Mhm.
and appropriate ourselves of the beautiful purpose of God for our lives,
Mhm.
then you can have the same life I have. I should
And
not
don't
be the
forget the hard
exception.
work. And
Yeah,
don't forget
I
the
should.
hard
No,
work.
no, no, because we need to polish that beautiful gem, you know. But and it's a joy. Listen, Atif, I don't know how to say this, but I don't feel I'm working when I play.
Oh, I can see on the stage.
It is such a joy because again, to exercise purpose, there's no money that can pay for that.
No, no.
It's what's the expression is um, priceless.
Mhm.
Priceless is better than eating chocolate, my friend. It's incredible.
I think that's the golden, that is the golden nugget really is doing something that you love with passion and conviction. And if you're rewarded for it materialistically as well, it's icing on the cake. It's just another
Well,
bonus.
you're right because this is what happens, Atif. Of course, I want money. Of course,
Mhm,
why? Because I need to be more effective and more productive about what God empowered me and called me to be.
mhm, mhm,
I don't need material things for the sake of them, and I'll tell you why. This is extremely important. And that's why I can openly also speak and mention the amazing credits that God has allowed in my life. It's not that I'm dropping names to to exalt myself. No, no, no,
mhm,
no.
mhm,
And I'll tell you why. Because no fame, not recognition, no big names, no huge successes, no material things would ever bring back our beautiful, beautiful little daughter who died of brain cancer at the age of 3 years and 9 months in our arms in Valencia, California.
God bless her
None of
soul.
those things will bring her back with us. So I know what is important in life is to accomplish my mission. And if I can have the proper tools and equipment in my studio and instruments and things that allow me to exercise and to become better at what as a communicator I need to experience and share. That's what I need material things for.
Incredible. And you're always giving. You're one of these soulful people that are always thinking the best for humanity and always giving and seeing I'm
Well,
fulfilling my
Atif, because
purpose.
God gave us what we don't deserve.
Yeah.
God gave us His mercy and His grace. He sent Jesus to die at the cross for us. When what it's joking. I always keep saying, I talk to God all the time. I say, God, I am so happy I am not you. I'm so happy I'm not God. Because if I would be you, I would have destroyed humankind long time ago. Atif, I don't understand God's mercy.
Uh,
I thank Him for it. I don't understand God's grace. Because when I see humanity, I shake my head and I go, like, if we only knew that we are alive, is because still God is patient, giving us a chance to
mhm,
come back
mhm,
to Him. You see, and again, I'm not proselytizing, huh? I'm speaking out of the reality of my life experience.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, and 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 if anybody wants to talk about this later, and they can email me or whatever, I'll do my best. I'm very busy. Atif knows. Poor soul, he's being after me. And thank you for not giving up again. It's a wonderful thing to be able to share this. You have other questions? I'm listening. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's a dialogue, and we're listening intently to the pearls of wisdom because we're beginning to learn more about Pedro and what Pedro does for the world and what he does for other people. And he just happens to be a genius musician. But
God's gift.
this is
God's done. God really is God's. Atif, let me tell you this. I'm not playing cute. I'm not playing false modesty. I'm exercising reality and
mhm, mhm,
truthful perspective. My dear, I have nothing to do with it. Except, again, I'm being redundant, working very hard to get out of the way.
mhm,
When I feel the melodies that God gives me, when I feel the expression that comes to my instruments, two people called me and told me, Pedro, did you play at 3,000 Years of Longing? I said, yes. I said, we heard you,
oh,
we recognized you. My niece in Spain is on the theater with my great niece, and she's watching in the theater, and she calls me, whispering because people were there, it's like, Uncle, did you play in the Jungle Book? And I said, yeah. I knew it. I recognize you. I just heard I'm in the
Oh,
movies.
lovely.
It's like, and that's the amazing thing.
Beautiful.
I have nothing to, I enjoy it so much because I happened, this is what happened. I worked so hard, so hard. This is another thing I haven't published, Atif, which is a premiere for you. I'm giving you a lot of firsts.
Wow, I'm
Really, really.
privileged. I'm privileged.
It's a blessing to share this with you, and thank you for the platform to do so. This year, I'm selling. My little brother reminded me of, because I don't think about these things. He reminded me, say, Pedro, do you realize that this year you celebrate 50 years of having set foot in a professional recording studio?
Wow,
And I'm
congratulations.
going like, thank you, dear. And I'm going like, that's true. I recorded in a
Wow,
professional studio when I was 12 for the first time in my
wow.
life. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. So all the work of all these decades now bring, it's like this flower blossoming. And I'm going
Wow,
like,
wow.
thank you, Lord, for allowing me to enjoy these things in a way that I feel I am out of the equation, and I can
Mhm.
literally enjoy being part of this
Beautiful,
thing.
beautiful.
It's the truth.
Coming back to your live performances, if we talk about Dune specifically,
Mm.
the audience may not be aware that you actually created a special, um, uh, just a special piece to play for Dune. And I think Hans Zimmer said to you, he wanted you to play the flute, but don't let it sound like a flute. Make it sound like the movement of
And I
wind.
and I and I and I, and I play air on the flute, but what he extended with that again, this is one of his incredible geniuses. I can do sounds in the flute that not many other people can do, because I got my own thing that God gave me. We all have our own thing that God gives us.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of it. That's why people do not need to imitate anybody else. I'm a little bit sometimes insulted when I don't have many students now, but when I did, they try to sound, or they try to be like me, and I go, don't insult God. You can be influenced by what He gave me, but you need to be yourself, because if you want to imitate me, you're saying that you're copying me, that God was not creative enough to give you your own thing.
Wow.
So, like somebody said, it's a beautiful saying. Said, "Be yourself." Three dots. Everybody else is already taken. And what I did is he challenged me, because doing all these things I do, he still always finds something, or either that I don't have or that I didn't think of. He always puts me on my toes. And he said, yeah, I know you can make air and you can change the consonants, from F to S on the notes, because the flute is a tube. So I can make air that is tuned, changing, and it's like this alive thing. But he goes, can you make vowels while you change the? It's like, oh my goodness, it's like this guy. But then I also made, I don't know how much of that was used, but I had made a 14-foot long horn
Mhm.
for Game of Thrones, but I expanded that to 21 foot for Hans, for Dune. and and I also made a contrabass duduk,
Mhm.
because I have a bass duduk. But then what I did is I took a very, very, very long half-inch PVC pipe, you know, very long, like 2 meters probably, or something like that. And I attached at the end, a duduk mouth, a reed they call gamish, and that gave you this super low note. And I recorded that, and I cut until I had a minor third higher, and I blew on that, recorded that for him, and I kept cutting like that until I got to the notes that I can play for my bass duduk. So Hans has digitized, and my shofars, which are the Jewish ram horns,
Mhm.
and my conch shells, and all those things. These things became the foghorns that you can hear in Dune.
Wow. Incredible.
And my duduk is the first instrument you can hear after the initial drone, when the
Mhm.
whole movie starts, the film starts, and then the air with changing the vowels is the background of
Wow.
the desert.
Incredible.
And then 3 of my zurnas are with the digitized Scottish bagpipes that are when they arrive in Arrakis. And Hans keeps saying about Guthrie Govan playing electric guitar. I think Hans is mistaken. I'm sorry, because Guthrie did that for the concerts live, unless they did something afterwards in post production that I'm not aware of. But when I received the music, it was me who put all this zurnas to bring life into something that Omir had done, Omir Benjamin had done, and this wonderful piece for the Scottish bagpipes when they arrived in Arrakis, which is the first thing you heard when we did the initial thing and the whole concert. After Loire comes in and there's a whole band standing at the end and that I play with the Zorna. Yeah, so all these things I played in Dune.
Absolutely incredible, and it's no surprise. Award-winning soundtrack with the award-winning audio effects. I mean, what an accomplishment! In fact,
Well,
for
Hans is a
view,
super genius. Yeah,
yeah,
he made an orchestra out of 6 or 7 people.
incredible, absolutely
Yeah,
incredible. And there's
Tina's there. Juan Garcia Herrero, Snow Owl's there. Guthrie is there. Yolanda also plays some bass. Nico plays some bass. The singers were there, of course. Loire was there. Uh, uh, Lisa Gerard was there. Edie was there. Susan Waters was there. And that's it. He made an
wow.
orchestra out of us. Atif, I remember one time I sent him, not one time, several times, I sent him 89 tracks of the Dukes.
Wow.
89 tracks of the Dukes. And he had composers helping him, supporting him and adding up and adding to the stuff. And then he had synth programmers like, Howard Ska and Kevin Schroeder and so many other people. And Steve Mazzaro and David Fleming and Omir and Steve Adore. So many people that contributed to this thing. Hans is a genius. He's surrounded by incredibly special, powerful people.
He knows how to select his.
He leads by example, and
Yeah.
I think he makes people converge to him. He knows. He has. He's I don't want to spend time because it's impossible to describe his
Yeah.
genius. So
Yeah.
why even try?
For viewers, in case they're not aware, there's a wonderful video with yourself and Hans discussing the sounds of Dune and some of the
Oh
things that
yeah,
he got
that's
you to do.
Vanity Fair thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
We did,
hilarious,
and
brilliant,
Loire is also there.
brilliant video.
Yeah. We did that 2 or 3 weeks before the thing won the Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very honored that I don't know why he allowed me there, but God bless him.
Well, you're when I watched the concert, you were like this magical sort of gel interweaving in between everyone else, and it really looked like everyone was having a party, and you're the sort of the conductor for the fun and the laughter for most of it.
Atif, it feels in a way that is very hard to describe how it feels. Again, the combination of elements. In this day and age, when people are dying of hunger in the world,
Mm-hmm.
we have no water. We are starving in many places. In other places, people are dying because there are monsoons, like in Pakistan and in
Mm-hmm.
India. And
Mm-hmm.
then here, we don't have water to drink. And we have the horrible situation in Ukraine
Mm-hmm.
and this world where we have leaders doing atrocities that they should not do. I don't want to talk about politics, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then to have the opportunity to have this music, which is a consequence of 40 years of Hans doing this stuff. Imagine that a life work like that, a body of work like that, and then to have these musicians that are second to none, and the plurality of expressions and cultures and sensitivities. To tell you the truth, some things are a little bit too big for me. To tell you the truth, I need to open my heart. I cannot be. People loved it. For me, for me, the music is so strong that I wonder if having, an aerialist or having so many dancers maybe distracts a little bit away
Hmm.
from the
Hmm.
music. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's my take. Maybe I'm wrong, uh, but that's my take on it because the music is so powerful. And then you have all these people from all over the world converging, and we are sending, as Hans says so powerfully, this wordless statement of here we are an example of how we can be out of this plurality of cultures and expressions, we can show something that can touch you, hopefully into a higher level.
I think you can't express it any better than that. So it's despite everything that's going on, as human beings, that the thing that gets us going is hope.
Correct.
And as
And
soon as
after
you lose
after a
hope,
pandemic, after a
yeah.
pandemic that destroyed the whole world,
Mm.
and from which, in my take, we haven't yet recovered completely yet from. You know, I have friends losing their jobs, losing their houses. I have friends closing doors in companies that make amazing instruments that I play that could not survive the shortage of ICs and things that, and it breaks my heart,
Mhm.
you know. And I still have the incredible blessing to toot my horns in the midst of all these challenges, and I'm accountable. Listen to this, my dear. One of the passages in the Bible I respect the most and resonates with me the most is that is the parable of the talents. God entrusted one work. This is a parable, an illustration. Only the greatest master, the greatest teacher in all history, can share with us the deepest, most mysterious, fantastic content and divulge it, show it to us, and share it with us, the deepest mysteries ever in the universe, and share it with us in beautiful stories that are almost like children's stories, which is the parables. That's for me, Jesus is the greatest teacher in the whole history because of that. One of his parables, he says, the kingdom of God is like this uh, owner of this master that gave one of his disciples one workers, I'm sorry, one talent, and a talent is a measure of payment for a whole year back then.
Mhm.
And another one he gave two, and another one he gave five, and he went away. So he puts them in charge of that. The one that had one said, "Oh, my master is fierce, and he reaps where he hasn't sown, and this and that, and I don't want to lose this. I'm gonna hide it." And he put it and he hid it. The one that had two said, "Let me work at this and give something back," and he gained some some interest. And the one that had five did the same. When the master returned, he asked five, "What did you do with the five?" My master, I know that you're able where you have not sown. It's very poetic, like it says the scriptures. And out of fear and respect for you, I went and worked hard, and I gained two other or five more. Oh, you're a good servant. Come into my joy. You're fulfilled. The same with the second. And when he came to the third one, he said, "Lord, I know you're very fierce and this, and I didn't want to lose it, and I hid it." He said, "What? How come you didn't even get some interest? Put it this. I in charged you. I put you in charge, entrusted you this thing. Take it away from this guy and gave it to the one that has 10 and throw him out because he wasn't faithful to develop what and administer and multiply what I entrusted him with." So, my dear Atif, I hope, I don't know, but I hope that when I face my creator,
Mhm.
I believe he gave me one half a talent. I hope I can show him back, "Lord, you gave me zero point 0.5. Here I'm giving you at least 0.75 back."
Amen. Amen. And the prayers that you fulfill your purpose and more and more and more. Um, it's people like you who give us hope and inspiration and
Thank
words
you,
of
dear.
wisdom. Um,
Thank you, dear. Thank
we
you.
love everything that you're doing. We love the
Thank
reason
you,
why you're
dear.
doing it,
Thank you,
and
dear.
we hope and pray that the rest of the year is a roaring success.
Thank you, dear.
And we very much look forward to seeing you again live in
Thank
concert
you,
next
dear.
year when you come
Thank you,
back.
dear. Thank you, dear. And I want to bless you, Atif. I want to bless everyone that is listening or watching us again, because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in God incidences.
Yes.
And I believe God allowed this for a purpose. Maybe someone needed to listen to these things and be encouraged, as you said. And I thank you and I bless you for the opportunity to so openly and freely allow me to express myself out of my experience. God bless you, dear. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine, and honestly, I'm humbled. Thank you so much for sparing some of your very, very precious time. And God bless, God protect you,
Thank
and
you.
we look
Amen.
forward to
Thank you.
hearing more from you very soon.
If we go to Manchester, remind me because I think I'm gonna get you a ticket to come see us. Okay.
That'd be incredible.
I don't know if we're going next year, but if we're going back to Manchester, please remind me.
I will. I will.
God bless you,
What a
dear. You
pleasure.
have my
You
you have my
take care.
email.
I have. I have.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Take
God
care.
bless
Bye
you. Bye
bye.
bye,
All the
dear. Bye
best. Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.